Hi, I'm Richard McCarthy and welcome to The Wedding Show. Tonight's episode, we get tips and advice from 3 wedding florists, experts in the industry. Cue the music. Hi and welcome to The Wedding Show, where we hope to give you tips and advice on planning your wedding day. We hear from experts in the wedding industry and get their opinions and listen to their experiences. This show is brought to you in association with My Wedding Store. My Wedding Store, in case you didn't know, at this stage is a one-stop shop for all your wedding needs. For more information, check out MyWeddingStore.ie, incorporating retail hire and other wedding services. To get involved in the conversation, simply leave comments or questions in the comment section below. You can private message us, email us, or visit My Wedding Store here in Collooney, County Sligo. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, a prize, or giveaway, then of course let us know privately and we'll take care of everything. Now, enough plugs for the moment this week. In this week's episode, we are joined by Micheál Fihely of Fihely's Florists, based in Sligo. How are you, Micheál?
Very good, Richard. Thanks very much.
Good. And we have Gemma Foster of Eden Flowers by Gemma, based in Carrick and Shannon.
Hi.
And of course, we have Julie Kilcawley of Rosellen Flowers, based in Enniscrone. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, so we're going to head straight into questions. So we're hoping that we'll get questions coming in the comments below. So please do ask any questions that you might have for our 3 guests tonight. I want to start off with an easy one. What questions should couples ask when booking their florist?
What questions should couples ask when they're booking their florist? First of all, are you available for the date?
That's a good start.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's the first thing we do is go to the diary, and we do find that people seem to be booking kind of earlier and earlier for their wedding. So see, first of all, if the florist that you're looking at or chosen has have the date free. Then also kind of maybe have they any photos of previous work that they might have done to see if there's something that kind of you feel kind of suits your look or mood for your wedding day. And then also for me, there's different packages available, of course, on all of our websites, but I would find that the first question I would ask a lot of couples would be that do they have a budget in mind? Because what we really like to be able to do is to help them to achieve that. So to kind of stay within their budget with the look and feel and mood that they want.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And guys, we say, do most people like literally come to the shop, or do you get a lot of inquiries online, or what's the most common, we say, way that people get in contact with you? Is it mainly online, or is it people actually calling to you?
I think email is a big thing now. Yeah, there's a lot of couples that would be living abroad and they might have family here. So a lot of people would deal through email, and then you're dealing with family as well for them while they're away.
Yeah.
Facebook is a big thing, messaging on Facebook, and then again through phone calls and people from previous weddings that have seen your work as well. They'd be coming through recommendations as well.
Very good. And guys, I suppose we say one thing I kind of would notice is, like we say, over the years, the floral changes, the floral trends have changed over the last couple of years. Like, what would you consider kind of the latest trends in regards to kind of like the bouquets and the decor in the church and stuff like that?
The loose style bouquet.
The loose style.
Not the perfect shaped bouquet anymore. It's the loose style with greenery through it and an awful lot of different foliages.
Okay,
The boho kind of.
Yeah.
It's a
is-
boho. What a
Boho.
I haven't heard that before now. What's the boho?
More relaxed look.
Yeah, more relaxed, rustic, massive floral arch. That you did a lovely one there recently in Easter.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
do you know, they're massive in now. So the very relaxed look, rustic, vintage.
That sort of more old
Yeah.
world style, so kind of like even in terms of moods, cottage garden, kind of wild cottage garden. That's really, for us, it's kind of for the last, I suppose, year has been really in. Yeah.
And is the percentage of kind of, we say, I presume like all your stuff would be fresh flowers anyway, but is there that push more towards fresh flowers now than artificial, or do you kind of, what do you find in regards to kind of
We would very seldom do artificial. I suppose as florists, kind of our heart would be with fresh flowers. And although we sell artificial, we find that for weddings, that I don't know, for me, I'm so long in the flower game that it would be like buying your cake in a supermarket. Like it just for me, it doesn't work. And I think for a bride to have fresh flowers the morning of her wedding, for me, that's the magic, you know, and that's what we want. We want to kind of get the reaction, and I feel fresh flowers would do that way over silk.
Yeah, and I think from a photography point of view, I always love seeing the fresh flowers. I think they look and they photograph a lot better than we say the artificial flowers,
100%, absolutely.
And it's the one thing I always say to people is, look, we say when it comes to you know, your bouquet and the whole lot of something. Actually, somebody mentioned to me before is it's actually in most of the photographs. So like your bouquet is such an important part
100%.
of your photography and of your wedding. So it's something that you kind of do have to consider an awful lot about, you know.
Yeah.
One I get asked regularly, we say by especially the grooms, and sometimes we say some of the ladies as well. But how do you put on what they call now? Actually, first I'm going to ask what exactly is it called? Is it like a buttonhole or do they call it boutonniere? Because I've heard both names.
It depends where you're from in the world. So it's
From the west, we're going to keep it simple.
if you're the west of
buttonhole.
Ireland, it's a buttonhole.
It's a buttonhole,
yeah.
I would call it a buttonhole.
Yeah.
Buttonniere,
Yeah.
buttonhole,
Yeah.
buttonhole. Yeah,
Yeah.
buttonhole. And if it's a lady that's wearing it, it's a corsage.
Lapel.
Yeah.
Lapel
'cause
is
it-
another
Okay.
one.
Lapel,
as well.
yeah.
Is another one.
And should it be on the left or the right? What's the rules there in regards to kind of for the men? We always say to the
men.
men.
Is the left. If you remember, the women are always right.
Exactly. That's what we were told literally down in the
I wouldn't have gone with that comment, but fair enough. With the show that we're on.
That's always whenever I'm talking, and it's a great opener because it kind of, if they're nervous and the whole lot and everything, I always say that. And it's been said to me so many times, you know, but you always remember women are always right, so it's always men on
Usually
the
the
left.
gents will remember that phrase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
His way
Yeah.
of putting
Definitely.
it to
And we'll say, like, so when they are putting on the buttonhole and the whole lot, is it a case of, because most of them come with the little pin.
Yeah, pearl pin, yeah.
Is it a case of that they, like, talk me through it? So literally, when you're putting it on, are you putting the pin in first, or
So you kind of weave. You weave in out,
okay?
over, and then you weave in, and when you push back in, you don't come back out. You have to keep it in. To
Okay.
see so the pin isn't.
Okay,
sticking
we're
out.
definitely going to have to
It's a
do a video
weaving.
make of this at some
It's a
point.
weaving.
How
I was just going to
properly do
say,
it.
actually, we had a groom and best man and groomsmen arrived at our shop, having us delivered the flowers to the hotel, and on the way to the church, they arrived to get these
These
buttonholes
put on.
put on.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
driving them absolutely crazy, and we actually did a video of us putting on the buttonholes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we put it up on our Facebook page
we'll
afterwards,
have
so
to
that
look at that.
anybody,
We'll have to look at that.
But what we'll do actually in the next couple of days too, we will do a video of somebody putting on a buttonhole. But I've actually seen other florists put in a little list of kind of for people putting on buttonholes, how to put them on properly
Yeah.
and what to do properly. So that's something.
Yeah.
There's also the other options of using the corsage pin, like the T-bar,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
like a badge as well.
it works quite well.
And then there's also the magnets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The magnets work.
Yeah,
quite well.
do you find like the magnets, like, would you guys normally use the pins or we use more the magnets, or is it kind of people
the
ask?
magnets for the younger children
Yeah,
because
well, that makes
obviously
sense.
it's safer for them.
Yeah.
But usually you would use the pins. Personally, we would anyway.
Yeah, I find for us, we would use a safety pin if it was a younger child, and pins if it was the lads. Again, maybe it's just
Yeah.
more traditional. And then if it was a lady, depending on her outfit or the
Yeah,
kind of
see,
fabric
that's-
or material, we'd probably most likely use a magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier just about the bouquets and what style do you feel that's in at the minute, and I suppose really the style is more dependent on the bride and also kind of like her dress and the look of her dress and the feel. So for us as florists, I think the first thing that we need to do is to see the dress, and when we see the dress and kind of mood and style of the dress, for us then the bouquet is like an accessory to the dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look at the dress and the feel and the style, so sometimes you would have a bride that may come in with a photo of a bouquet that she thinks is really beautiful, and then we see her in the dress and we try and put the two together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the professional would come in, where we would advise, look, if I was going with this, I don't think I would go with that particular bouquet. And sometimes it's quite difficult because it might be something that she has her heart set on, but for us it needs to look right. It has to.
Yeah.
There's
And
also
that's
a lot to do with the colouring of the dress, like between the ivory and the champagne
pins
and the
and-
ice.
yeah,
and
definitely,
that as well.
definitely, yeah. Yeah.
And is it a case that we'll say that they will say if they go with kind of a certain style,
Yeah.
or a certain kind of colour, it kind of it goes from the bouquet to the buttonholes to everything. Literally, the whole thing is.
I would say yes. For us, yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the mood needs to follow through.
Yeah.
Again, Pinterest is a love-hate relationship with me because I get Pinterest.
with all of us.
Yeah, I get Pinterest where people bring in like 5 beautiful photos of kind of like work or stuff that they've seen on Pinterest, and each individually looks brilliant and magic, but actually, when you put them all together, they don't necessarily work together.
Yeah,
So again, what we would normally do is take a look at the dress, then pick a bridal bouquet that the bride loves. Of course, that has to be magical for her, and that works really well with her look. And from that, then that sets the theme and mood for kind of the rest of the flowers and the rest of the wedding.
Yeah, I think people do kind of have to take, you know, there's a common sense approach to it as well, that like a lot of stuff that they see online with Pinterest and Instagram, the whole lot, like they're getting a lot of the American trends.
100%,
And like the American trends are, like I've seen some recently, I thought, my God, there was on the table they had for the table placements, they had a big, beautiful floral arrangement on top of like the what you call the glass vases,
Yeah.
whatever you know it. It looked fantastic, but they had little crystals hanging off it and everything as well.
Be
so
careful now, did one of us do this?
No, it definitely was an American wedding. It definitely was American. Please God, it was American
We're all
wedding.
thinking, was that us, was that us, was that us? And we go, here, hold on.
And I love the idea and everything as well, but do you find that with, say, like the American trends and like Instagram, Pinterest really kind of starting to take an effect on Irish weddings?
Yeah.
Here, you know?
Definitely, definitely, yeah. I suppose with social media and with Pinterest and with websites and everything that goes with it, the whole world has opened up. So what used to be trendy the other side of the world is now trendy here. I find too that, like, even style-wise, even European style-wise, I think we're actually quite stylish. I think we're quite stylish in what we do. So sometimes, even with American weddings, I feel it can be a little bit over the top in terms of the look. You can have, like, even for table decorations, you'd nearly need to walk around the table to talk to somebody the other side of the table. I think we definitely have a classier feel, classier look, classier mood, and again, I think you see that kind of follow through.
And I think, like we say, one of the trends I've seen recently, and we were talking about it just beforehand, is this whole thing of a flower wall or a flower wall or a rose wall. They have all different names for it. And it can be done very well or it can be done terribly, you know. So it really, it's one of these things that, you know, people see one thing and then when they actually, they get the actual...
I think that's an important point, and for all of us as well, because... for me, you asked earlier, you know, how would people normally get in touch with you when it comes to weddings? And actually, we find that an awful lot of our weddings come from referrals from other weddings. So it's a friend that's got married and has been at the wedding, or a sister of a wedding that we did a couple of years ago. And I think like that too, sometimes... if you say like a flower wall, if it's done well, it looks beautiful, and if it's not done well, it looks terrible. And I think if you have recommendations where people have kind of used your service before, have been really happy with what they've seen, have photographs of kind of what you've done, and you can show that then to kind of say, look, this is what we offer and this is what we do, then I think just booking a florist. I love the emails that you get where people ask for a quote for a bridal bouquet online, and I'd say, look, I really would need to speak to you first and to see the dress and to see, but you know, another florist has quoted like that, and you know, I'd say kind of, how can they quote for something when really they don't know what you're going to be carrying or what you're going to be using, and I think that's even where the personal touch would come in. I think for all of us as well, is to take the time to kind of sit down with the bride and kind of talk to them about what they're looking for and what feel they're looking for, what mood they're looking for, and after you've had that conversation, then you can give a price.
I think even along the lines of colouring with the bouquets, another thing is with the bridesmaids, you can't really discuss a colour with a bride unless they have the bridesmaids' colours. Because you're choosing flowers, but you don't know what colour scheme
goes with it.
They're going to go with until they have their bridesmaids' colour. That's a big thing as well, and people don't think of that now before they come in.
That is
just give them a ballpark.
Because once you have your bridesmaids' dresses, your colourings, that's where it does.
That's when you can start getting into more detail then with them.
But do you find, with say like Gemma, for example, like do you find that they're kind of sticking to traditional trends or what they've seen in the past, or are people getting adventurous? Are they getting kind of
I mean, pinks, hot pinks, cerise. This is big. I know the country boho effect is coming in as well with the weddings, but the loose effects with these bright colours are very, very popular. Big headpieces, big hairbands with flowers on, all this sort of theme now is definitely picking up, but I think it's all to do again with the cherry blossoms and all that country style look, along with the flower walls and everything like that, that's all taken place with weddings now.
And the one thing, Micheál, I would say, I have to say, like, I've seen numerous of your kind of floral displays at the hotels and stuff like that, and like I think people would say when you talk to them about wedding flowers and everything as well, they immediately kind of just assume, we'll say, bouquets and the buttonholes, and that's it, you know. They're not thinking kind of the full picture in regards to your reception, to your church and so on, the whole decor area.
But I suppose, like, again, for us all, and especially at Feely's Florist, that's one of the most important questions we would ask, is kind of like, really, what level would you like us to take it to? Because if it's somebody that's just looking for bouquets and buttonholes and like simple church done simply, of course we're happy to be able to look after that. But then you have kind of like other people that do want the tables in the reception decorated and the church done beautifully and everything like that. And I suppose that's down both to kind of, I suppose, individual couples and also budget. You know, we're happy genuinely to do as little or as much as people would require. But if of recent times, I have noticed within our own shop anyway that table centres have become back in. So where people would have, hotels would have supplied candle stands for years, and that's what was supplied and that's what was done. I think people are starting to kind of splash out a little bit more on how they look and how they feel. Yeah, and when they see it done properly and they see it done beautifully, and then they've been at a wedding where they've seen something done and they have a different idea for their own look and own feel. Yeah, and to walk into a room done properly by a good florist, you know, for me, that's magic.
And it brings the room to life as well. I
100%.
find like there's such a difference when you go into a room that has been completely decorated in regards to the floral side and everything as well. And like the hotels will say, if there's nothing there, they're trying to fill it with something else, you know. So they're trying to fill it, and you know.
And it's getting back to your Pinterest thing, where sometimes, I'm not saying the hotels don't do what they do really well, but you know, for us it's like the decoration is the decoration. That's what we do, and we do it kind of really well. And so to stick something in a corner because it fills up a corner, for me, doesn't work necessarily. So I think it's to have the whole thing thought through. And again, even if somebody is working from a budget and they do want to create a different effect, we might be able to work with what they have in the hotel already, so they don't necessarily have to do every table. They could do every second or third table or that. But hotels and receptions definitely on the up.
But to work with the budget as well, you can reuse an awful lot of what you're putting into the church. Bring it to your hotel with you.
I think it's good to reuse it if it works, you know, but the problem sometimes is we come across is that people would have a pew end that looks really well in the church and that they probably want to use it somewhere in the hotel, and it doesn't always necessarily suit the look in the hotel. So that's again where you'd advise kind of, as a florist, you'd advise, look, don't do it or do it. Or,
And I think it's one thing like we always kind of say to people, we'll say, especially to couples watching and everything, is it's all about education, because this is normally is your first time getting married. Okay, some people are getting married 2 or 3 times, that's okay. But generally, it's your first time. So a lot of people have never been through this process. So it's always great to kind of get advice from your suppliers and stuff like that. And it's one of these things that we say, like, they won't know where to start when it comes to budget and what. So like we say, what would you say regarding like a minimum floral budget? Like, we need to kind of set expectations towards people. We say, like, when you are looking at, we say, for example, your bouquets and your boutonnieres and a whole lot, like, what would you suggest kind of from a minimum budget point of view, guys?
Well, this will depend, number one, on the season, the time of the year it is. Because, I mean, if you've got a wedding in a peak period, your flowers are going to rocket in price, certain ones. You can advise flowers that are very, very similar to what the bride or the couple likes, which would be more within budget if that's the case for them. But to be honest, it will depend on season cost.
So what would be peak season in regards to like flower? We say from you guys, we say peak season.
You have Christmas, you have
Valentine's, Mother's Day, and then you have to consider International Mother's Day, because flowers is affected then as well.
And there was another one of them just recently as well. So
I think it's important to say, because sometimes people think that if they're going to come into a florist at Christmas or at Valentine's or at Mother's Day, we do quite a lot of weddings around those times. And if they're like looking for bouquets and buttonholes and church decoration, it doesn't affect the cost that much. It's a little bit, but not that much. But it's when they get into kind of like doing bigger, fresh centerpieces and stuff like that, where it's more elaborate, that can help to build the cost. But usually, if somebody wants it beautifully and, you know, they're already kind of prepared to spend what they're prepared to spend on like the decoration done beautifully, the little bit of extra cost doesn't affect it that much.
Okay. And in regards to that, we say, like, can you work within any budget, or is like, we say, is there some budgets where you're kind of going, okay, we can probably 2 flowers there, or, you know, is there a kind of a?
I think
like,
if the budget meets the expectation. So it's asking, can you work within any budget? If a couple come in with a budget, and if the budget was €500 and the expectation was that they wanted bridal bouquet and bridesmaids bouquets and buttonhole and a simple church decoration, of course we can help to facilitate that. If they say they also have 22 tables and they want the 22 tables decorated and the budget and the picture from Pinterest shows, you know, then for that it makes it a little bit. But again, we can discuss options and kind of ideas on how they can get around that.
Brilliant. I think we have, we're going to get Mick is on social media tonight, so Mick is following up on these comments, and Brian is there doing the audio and the video there. So Mick, have you any questions for us?
There's tons of them coming in.
Okay, this is where I can say.
I was trying to get your attention, Richard, for the last 2 minutes, but you were busy.
Okay.
Just going to give a couple of shout outs and then we're going to go to some questions, okay? So we got Mary Durkin has tuned our way. Hi to Mary. Hi, Carrie Fielding, Alison McDermott, Magella Walker, Sarah Tiernan, Roisin Phillips, Margaret Mella, Margaret, forgive me if I got your surname wrong. We Mary Durkin, Sinead Conlon McIntyre.
Sinead.
Let me see, Brian Phillips, Jesney Noctan, maybe. Again, excuse me if I get your name wrong. Eileen Kilcawley, Nicola McHugh. Who else is there? Ailish is in with us. Hi, Ailish.
Unless it's in Helen,
So there's lots of people tuned in and there's lots of questions. So I'm going to go right back to the start and give you the first one.
Hit us.
Do you agree that some TV programs, example, Downtown Abbey, have an influence in trends?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Elaborate.
Yeah.
Don't just nod your head and say yes.
Downton Abbey, you had the overarm
Yeah.
bouquet.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's an overarm bouquet?
An overarm bouquet, it is one that literally, you'd hold it like a baby.
Oh, is that with the long stalk and everything on as well?
Long stems and it just lies.
We actually have to do a bridal bouquet for next Tuesday morning. There's a photo shoot with a bridal magazine. And again, they're going with kind of like that whole Downton Abbey feel style. So it is kind of like so it does kind of like, does it affect trends? 100%. So if people are watching what they're watching on television, and that kind of feeds back and feeds through. And I think it also kind of opens up a person's mind to what they can have. And I think as flowers go now and as florists go, kind of with being in the industry, we love that. We love to be able to do something different and create something different and create a different mood. So does it affect what people go for? Yes, 100%.
I suppose, you see, like I've photographed a wedding with one of those, what do you call them again? Overarm bouquets, and they're quite, the practicality of them is quite hard because you're constantly trying to adjust it to get it right in the photographs as well. So I think practicality has to be taken into account as well in that regards, you know. But do you find, would say that
it's like a bride's shoes, yeah? If the shoes are gorgeous, forget the practicalities, yeah? It's either class or it's not class. And if the bouquet suits the look, suits the mood, we can do a half an hour training and the lead up to the wedding on how they should hold their bouquet properly and how they should hold it for photographs. And we would often do that even with shower bouquets, or kind of give them hints and tips on kind of how to hold the bouquet properly.
That's actually one question I do get asked quite a lot. We say with bridesmaids especially, they don't know where to hold the flowers.
So the bust is at the belly.
So I always say that, belly button, you know. But then they're walking up the aisle, they're kind of going, and they get nervous, and the flowers start going up behind them. So it's generally always at the belly button, isn't it? It's kind of a tell, kind of here.
Again, depending on the style of the bouquet. So if it's a shower bouquet or hand type bouquet, it's generally held down here. And actually, the style of the dress will affect the style of the bouquet as well. Because if the dress is quite detailed, then a shower bouquet may not suit as well as perhaps a hand type bouquet. So that kind of all falls into it as well.
Very good, very good. Mick, have you got another question for us?
Yes, Richard, I do actually.
Thanks,
I do. Just before we go any further, do you want to mention the competition?
Tell us all about it, Mick.
Okay.
Dodge that
The
one.
lads are giving away 3 €100 vouchers to a bride to be who hasn't booked their flowers yet and books with them. All they have to do to enter is ask a question in the comment section, and we'll pick 3 winners at some stage, either before the end of the show or just after it. Or no, we won't. We'll give it a week or so. So if they haven't booked their bouquet yet or their flowers yet, they can get in contact with the lads, and somebody out there is going to win 3 €100 vouchers.
So to win, all they have to do is
put in a question.
Put in a question.
Put in a question, or if you're leaving it open for a week, it might be better if they liked your Facebook page and commented with a bride's name. So if it's a friend and they know that a friend is getting married, so tag a bride, and then if you win the voucher, you're not getting married, you can give the voucher to that bride. So it leaves it open, and we'll pick a winners by this time next week.
Absolutely.
And it's €100 vouchers for each of our shops. So that's a really brilliant price, really magic price.
Exactly. So make sure to do that.
All right, okay. Now, the next question comes in from, let me see,
You got your reading glasses on.
Jesney Noctan?
Yeah.
Jesney Noctan.
Chesney Noctan.
What are the most common flowers brides tend to go for?
There's no common flowers.
There's no common flowers.
A lot of flowers now. We need to narrow that a little bit. Okay, so
what season are we
let's
in?
go with summer season because that's what's coming in at the moment.
So you have your peonies.
Lean into them mics there, guys, because we want to get good
You have your
audio for the
peonies,
lads.
you have your David Austin roses. Really, they're the two most popular at the minute.
So peonies is...
You have your hydrangeas.
What's peonies?
Peonies is like a more
They're like a
open
golf
kind of
ball,
country
and they
garden rose,
again, they're that
okay,
rustic,
Very good, okay.
rustic sort of look.
Again, I suppose, going back to kind of what we said earlier, is that it's not so much what's in season, it's what suits the look.
Yeah.
So, although peonies are available now, hydrangeas is still be, really beautiful cottage garden flowers. For me, it's more about looking at the bride, looking at the dress, what suits her look, and then what we'll do is we'll work towards that. So, if it's something in November, but the flowers aren't available that we feel matches it, we'll find something that we feel works really well or goes really well with that.
Okay, very good. Perhaps give us a recommendation, kind of for the summer season. What do you guys recommend?
Summer season, peonies. Peonies are it's the one time of the year. Peonies are only available in that short season of summer.
Okay.
And therefore they are the most popular during the summer. But as Michal said, they don't suit.
Yeah, certain.
Guys,
bit
can I
like-
just jump in there? What colour are they?
Multiple colours.
Multiple, yeah.
Oh,
So
different.
peonies
Rainbow
come in kind of like off-white, pale pinks, purples, kind of real. I
Your
suppose
real
more-
summer
colours,
colours.
summer colours, really summer colours.
Yeah.
We can educate you and give you a photo during the week.
That's what
It would be good actually if you did send us a couple of photos, so that when you are talking about certain flowers, we'd be able to drop in the photos in the edited version.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to another question now if I can. Let me see. Okay, this one from Sarah Tiernan. I want to put my bridal bouquet on my father-in-law's grave. Can I get a smaller version of the bridal bouquet to throw at the reception?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we offer them ourselves. We actually offer them complimentary.
Yeah.
We do a smaller version that there's no pins or anything in. So when you book your wedding flowers, you automatically get 3 carbos for if you're hiring cars, and you also get a throw bouquet as well.
So that the throw bouquet doesn't kill anybody like
Yes.
a missile.
There's no needles or anything.
No stabbings, nothing.
It's lighter for flight.
Yes.
We would always ask a bride, would she like a bouquet to throw as kind of an optional extra.
It does seem to be becoming more
basically
popular.
Yeah, I have noticed that because, like we say, when we see them in the morning, and I'm going, okay, which one's the bride one? And you see two the same, and you're going,
Yeah.
An important one there that Michael said as well is that if it is somebody that's putting their flowers on a loved one's grave afterwards, that it's really important how the flowers are kept during that day.
Absolutely.
So if they get the bouquet that morning and it's delivered properly into their home or whatever, it's most important that when they get back to the hotel or the reception after the photographs and everything has been taken, that the bouquet goes back into water, because a lot of times what can happen is the bouquet is left out of water somewhere beside a cake, and then it's moved by somebody, and then the next day you come back to the bouquet and it's not looking as beautiful as it should look.
The fridge where the food is kept.
Which isn't the right
not
environment
ideal,
at all.
no.
What we actually, which is I feel works really well, is when a bride is thinking about decorating her hotel, and if she has her bridal bouquet and her bridesmaids bouquets, we actually offer vases for them to put their bouquets into to go across the top table. So automatically for us too, it goes into water, so it's staying fresh. So and then so it does kind of like a double job, if you like, keeps fresh and helps to decorate with flowers that you already have. So it works well.
We actually had a bride that had 2 sets of grandparents had passed away, and she wanted to put her bouquet, but she only had the one bouquet. So we made her bouquet in 2 halves.
okay.
So that afterwards she could split it, and it would just lie on the grave, but yet it would look.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very good.
Nice idea.
Yeah.
I can't remember now what I was actually going to say.
According to the bands a couple of weeks ago, Brian and all the big guns, as they call them on the night.
The boys.
The boys. Throwing of the bouquet seems to be a trend that
It's phasing out.
is phasing out
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Would you?
That's same with the
I
garter
wouldn't
as well.
say
I
it's
wouldn't say
phasing
no,
out
I'd say
now.
the opposite actually. I
Yeah.
think that it's, and if somebody asked me, I don't think I'll do that, I'd say, if it's a traditional wedding and you're having a bit of fun and having a bit of crack, it definitely, and I said, you have to remember the person that's still single,
Yeah. Some of them need all the help they can get.
No, you said that now, we didn't say that. No, there's somebody for everybody, and it could be that day.
You never know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
I suppose we're talking about preserving the flowers and all like that. When I got married centuries ago, my wife kind of preserved a lot of the flowers from her bouquet and the whole lot. Is that a thing that's still done, or do you kind of?
I find an awful lot of people ring and ask how to do them now.
And how do
More
you
so.
preserve the flowers? Or is
There was a local
straightforward
company.
answer?
There was a local company that used to do kind of preservation of bouquets, and they did it in a certain style. There is still a company in Dublin that look after it.
It's not
and
cheap to get it done.
No.
is it? It's not cheap to get it
Again,
done.
I suppose it's like it's you know, what price do you put
But
on
it's a
anything?
memory.
So
Yeah.
for some people, it's a really important part that they would have the bouquet.
Yeah.
There is a couple of different ways depending on the type of flowers. One is where you can actually, if it's certain types of flowers, where you can actually dry the flowers out yourself, and then there's another method where you use glycerine if the flowers are a certain type of flowers. Again, if somebody wanted to ask a question or contact us again on it, we can kind of explain to them a little bit more. It comes back to the bouquet and the type of flowers.
So in other words, don't just go to YouTube and Google how to preserve a flower.
Well, you can, but
It's a bit like people making carbos on the morning of the wedding, and you turn up at the house and they're there in the kitchen.
YouTube.
cooking.
yeah.
I suppose we'll say from we'll say photographer point of view as well. We just mentioned about the flowers kind of on the top table and all that. One of our kind of pet peeves is because people tend to put the flowers on the top table. You can't see them because it's a raised table. So a lot of times you'll find the photographers are the ones that are moving the flowers from the top table over to the cake.
Okay.
So it's but a lot of the hotels tend to leave them at the top at the cake these days. Whereas I actually love seeing them.
stands. They can use stands that we have, and the bouquet just sits in the stand, and it can actually be higher than the.
Yeah,
just
I think it's
at
much
the level
nicer.
of the cake, and then the other ones can be down below.
Because a lot of we say couples in the past would say I would see they'd had the bouquet and it's put down, so they're constantly kind of worried about it getting damaged as well because they're constantly putting inside. Like, is there anything that you can recommend? We'll say when they're, for example, in the church or in transit and all that, what they should do with their bouquet.
Well,
Don't put it down.
Don't put it down.
Champagne in one hand.
Well, you have obviously in the when she's in transit to the church, she would be holding on to her
groomsmen are
bouquet.
for?
Yeah, and exactly. And then when she gets to the church, usually the chief bridesmaid would take care of kind of like the bridal bouquet. And then when you get to the hotel after the photographs, you will have your vase to pop the bouquet into. So
Yeah. So I think people do need to kind of just put a bit of thought into that, so that literally to keep the flowers looking as fresh and as perfect as possible.
I think
all day.
it's important to remember too, sometimes when we're talking about flowers and talking about arranging flowers and what style and what thing, it has to be fun, you know, and flowers are a really fun and beautiful part of your day. And I think, again, it's to enjoy it rather than to endure it. So it's to come into the florist, find something that works within your budget, find something that you absolutely love, and look forward to it and enjoy it on the day. I think too, with Pinterest and with things, you're looking at so many photos and so many different options available to you. People can get a little bit stressed. So I think as florists, our job is to say, look, don't worry, we're the professionals, we're going to look after everything for you on the day, and just sit back. If you're going to worry about anything, don't let it be flowers. You know, enjoy it rather than enjoy it.
I mean, brides that would come into you, some would be, you know, I've seen this, I love this, and I want this. Others come into you and they're the complete opposite. They have a colour scheme for a bridesmaid, but they have not a clue about flowers. So you can advise them the best you can. What I would do is I would send on a few images to them, kind of see what one they kind of go more towards, and then work with that and work on that, and then build from that with them.
I know what you mean.
So, you know, some know what they want and some don't know what they want. So you have to have that in mind with them as well.
But enjoy it. Enjoy the fun of it. Enjoy the fun of it. It's a celebration.
There was mix hand up. Yes. Yes.
Lisa Nocton wants to know, what are the most popular flowers for November time?
November
time.
You're going into your Christmas period, so I mean you've got your chrysanthemum blooms, you've got your thistles, your waxflower, your roses.
Swing closer, girls.
Sorry. Swivel forward.
I would say in November, again, depending on what time in November. So if it's early November, it's real autumn feel. So, and again, it depends on the colour of the bridesmaids. So the colour of the bridesmaids is going to kind of pick up on the colour of the flowers. So if it was, say, an autumn bouquet, you could have kind of like literally your branches, your hypericum berry, your coloured oak leaves, you know, you have beautiful mango calla lilies, you have beautiful orange roses. You know, if that's a colour that you really love, or if you wanted to go with something a little bit different, it can all work. There's always beautiful berries around. Again, in season, florists would be buying kind of like within that season as well. So again, for us, if you wanted to go back and kind of take a look even on our Facebook page and see the bouquets that we were putting out at that time of year, it will give you a good feel of kind of what was available and what was being done.
I suppose a complete left of field question here now, so you can kind of go no comment on this. But what do you do in a scenario where you have the likes of a groom who is, he's intolerant to flowers, as in like he has hay fever and stuff like that?
We can deal with that. Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Basically, you wouldn't give kind of like highly scented flowers. So you wouldn't give stock or freesia or lilies or anything like that. You would stay away from those. And you give flowers that basically have very little or no scent. That's for me, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I was starting to panic there for a minute.
No, you're all right.
Mick, have you any more questions for us? Mick.
Mick is on.
He's on the mic. Can you hear us? Have you any more questions for us, Mick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I'm watching the feed, so I'm a couple of
He's
seconds
watching
in
the match.
delay.
Who's winning?
No, I'm watching a movie here on the side. Let's have a look. There seemed to be an issue with the sound there a couple of seconds ago, but
So girls,
we might have
nice-
sorted
nice
it
close
out
to
now.
the mics, yeah.
Let me see.
Do you want me to ask one in the meantime?
If you have
come
one
back
there
to you?
while I'm scouring through this, I was enthralled. I was listening there and I
you
just got
see.
into it. So sorry, no more than the girls leaning back. I got into the conversation listening away. It was.
That's what we
great.
like. That's what we
Great.
like.
No, it was great.
I suppose we say from on the wedding day as well. Like we say, do you, as far as kind of simply drop off the flowers, or do you help setting them up, or?
It depends on what they kind of want on the day,
Yeah.
to be honest.
For us, we will only do a wedding if we're setting up.
Yeah.
So we won't actually take on a wedding unless we're doing the whole lot of the wedding. The reason for that being is we've been in the flower business quite a long time, and we've seen like 20 years ago people trying to put things into the back of cars and move things and this and that. And unfortunately, it's what happens in transit. So we have guys that would be trained up professionally to set it up properly. A lot of times they tell me if I'm going to do the wedding, they're telling me what I'm doing wrong. As opposed to the way it should be done right. So for me personally, I would only do it if we were able to set it up and do the whole lot. I wouldn't want
You
to.
want to make sure in the morning.
It's perfect.
that,
Everything needs to
when
be
they walk in that
100%.
church, that it's,
Because
it's what
I've
they
seen
want.
all you guys kind of would say weddings where they've had like an arch.
Yeah.
And I've seen you move it like from the church to the reception and things like that as well. So it is quite important like that. You let the professionals do
and
it.
it also has to look as good the second time as it did the first time. Actually, Michael videoed an arch that we did recently at a wedding, and he did kind of like a what do you call it, Mick? Is it
time lapse.
Time lapse.
Time
A time
lapse.
lapse.
Putting
Yeah,
together.
of us actually putting the whole arch
Fantastic.
together. And if anybody has a chance, go on and take a look. They'll realise how much work actually
there
goes
is
into
quite
an
a lot
arch.
of
work.
Because it is quite a lot of work, but again, fun and great to do. And
And
looks
it's definitely
beautiful.
worth it. I love seeing the arches. We say when I come to a church or even come to a reception hall, I love to see the arches.
yeah.
With that floral
Looks
colour
magic.
and everything
Yeah.
as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
definitely.
Especially like if you have I suppose we say from a decor point of view as well, like that. A lot of the churches they're grey, they're kind of dark and all that, and you want to add a bit of colour to it, and that's one way of
Add to the
definitely.
mood.
Is there any other things you recommend for the church? We say in regards to decor, how to kind of brighten up a church?
Well, it starts at the front door. So outside the front door, we would offer kind of like arches, bay trees. Again, depending on time of year, if it was like a November wedding or winter wedding, you might want to create some candlelight. Then into the hallway or reception, depending again on the church, if it's big or small, you might want to put something there. Then obviously pew ends are a really important part and create a whole mood and atmosphere towards the whole wedding. So you could go for something like a tall candle stand, again done in fresh or artificial depending on budget, to like a simple bunch pew end, to a simple bow if that's what your budget allowed. And then obviously on the altar you have your main altar arrangement with your wedding candles, and then each side of the altar, again depending on the time of year or the look or whatever, the candle stands decorated nicely, or nice vases decorated nicely, or the cherry blossom if it's the time of year again, and it
it's
works
lovely
really
to
well.
see, yeah.
Really beautiful, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And again, with the style of church, it all depends on the width of the aisle.
It does,
Yeah,
yeah.
In a
absolutely,
church with
exactly.
a narrow aisle, there's no point in having pew ends that
Yeah.
come right out that are going to be knocked
It
Yeah,
right
makes it
out.
very difficult, and then
Yeah.
even we find kind of I've had weddings in the past where the father of the bride's going up the aisle, he's constantly kind of avoiding the
But
Dodgy.
even
kind of
candles
thing,
and lanterns along the ground, you
Yeah.
just can't have them on a narrow.
No.
narrow
And a
aisle.
lot of the churches are going battery operated candle now.
That's it, exactly. It's a great
They
idea.
won't let natural candles in.
Because I've seen so many when they take the flowers off the altar and next minute the candle they're
Wax.
covered in wax.
Oh,
you know?
don't say
Yeah.
that. Please don't say that. For us, kind of as florists, that would just be the worst nightmare. And I think, again, that's when you're choosing items like that, ask the questions and see.
This
you
is
know,
why we move things from, from
Exactly,
church
yeah.
to venue, so that everything is done
properly.
properly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
nothing
think
gets-
Mick and myself probably have a request that if it's possible, can you get these little chains or something to kind of block off the pews, to keep them in the seats, like when the bridegroom's coming down, that
They do
tend to stand
sometimes
out.
block
They do
off the
actually
first
ask
few with
sometimes
foil,
for
and
that,
they block off the first
We're
few.
just joking, folks. Like we don't People.
Richard, I have two questions for you that I'm going to throw at you. One is directed at Julie, especially comes in. Julie, you do, I presume, civil ceremonies as well. What's the difference, or how do you approach doing a civil ceremony compared to, and this is open to all of you guys, but it was specifically for Julie. How do you approach doing a civil ceremony in comparison to doing a church ceremony? And also moving stuff around in the hotel or wherever the civil ceremony is.
Yeah, well, depending on, you've got your pews in the church, so for a civil ceremony you have the hotel chairs, so there's not much option at times to be able to hang things off the chairs unless they've gone and hired these Chevrolet chairs, and then you have the option of hanging things off them. We go back after the ceremony and we will move it then into the function room. Or if it's a case that the function room was being used for the civil ceremony, we'll go in and we'll muck in with the hotel staff and change it round as quick as we can.
Very good, very good.
But it's more or less the same as your wedding setup.
Yeah. I think as well though, like you said, when it comes to the chairs, it's those little things that people don't think of at the time. They think, right, we're going to have exactly the same. I have to ask that question, what's a Chevrolet chair? I think of cars, I'm just going Chevrolet. Yeah.
It's
Chevy car.
the one that kills your back because it has all these bars.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
They look
They're
absolutely
beautiful
fantastic.
chairs,
It looks
but-
absolutely magic. It goes back to, it might kill your back, but if it looks good.
Yeah.
Certainly, it's half an hour, you're grand. You can survive half an hour, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Just bring your cushion. You'll be fine.
Exactly.
Mick, you have another question?
I do, Richard. I do. Have the girls, have the lads any advice for
He said there.
nervous brides the morning of their wedding in relation to flowers? Like what time would you expect to deliver flowers to a bride's house, assuming the wedding's at 1?
Right, the wedding's at 1. We always deliver 3 hours beforehand. Always. And they're all laid out in a box, ready for the photographer. So
Exactly.
then you can do what you want with them,
Yeah.
gently, and then
Try to, no?
go straight from there to the church.
We'd always say they have to be there before the photographer because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
when
Same
the
as
photographer
that,
turns up,
Yeah.
he wants the bouquets to be there. Same as the church layout, as long as you can get into the church beforehand. You really need that done before the photographer
Absolutely,
gets there because he needs
exactly.
to set up his as well. So that needs to be done then.
It's a big part of the morning the flowers arrive.
It is.
Really
Yeah.
big part.
Massive.
And
Do you worry about it? Because they're kind of going, because you'd have some people heading off to church and stuff, or they might be going to a different place, and they need the buttonholes or the buttonholes to go to, like we said, the groom's house and so on. So like sometimes they're all going to one house, or they might go to 2 different houses.
We would usually separate the brides and the groom's flowers. So
Yeah.
the grooms would go into one box and the brides goes into the other. And again, even with that, with delivering the groom's flowers, we would always deliver them to where he is.
Yeah,
So
well, that's good.
never to the bride's house. We always feel that there's enough going on the morning of a wedding, and the last thing they need is an added job to give it. And even with the buttonholes, we have them like labelled with pins,
Always.
so that the groom doesn't end up with the mother's corsage and
I love that I can kind of go like that's the groom.
which is really important as well. And again, it just gives a little bit of relief to the bride. We'd also take a contact number for the best man, so that if for any reason that the groom wasn't available, God love him, he was missing, the last person we would want to ring to say he's missing is the bride. So that we would phone the best man and just again to confirm that they're going to get the buttonholes where they've been left, that everything is okay. So yeah, really important.
Real professionals. I think that's basically it for tonight, Mick. We're going to try and follow up the questions. We might try and follow up.
I have one more.
Okay,
I have one more again. Christmas weddings. What flowers would the lads recommend for Christmas weddings?
Well, you've got a lot of glitz at Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
So the glitz usually comes into it. You've got thistles, your brassica, all different really unusual flowers now that you can get around the Christmas. But you can get also throughout the year, but the glitz is...
For us too, I suppose, we all buy from Holland, and Holland is kind of like the main source of flowers into Europe. And don't be worried about what's available at Christmas. There's so much available all year round.
Exactly,
you know, that there's really a fabulous selection. Again, you're not going to get a peony rose in December, but there's hundreds of other options that are available to you. And again, for all of it, it's about going, having the conversation with your florist, letting them look at your dress, seeing what works well with your look, and then let the florist help you. Keep an open mind too. You might have photos of kind of what you'd like or whatever, but keep an open mind to let the florist kind of help and suggest what would work well or go
I
well.
also think with the Christmas weddings, don't always feel that because it's Christmas you have to go for red.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you know,
I think-
you can still have pink bridesmaids dresses in December.
Yeah,
Do you know,
exactly.
it doesn't, it's your photos at the end of the day that are
The
gonna
touch
be
of
on the
silver
wall,
bling.
Yeah.
Silver bling with the pink, nice,
Beautiful,
nice
absolutely
touch, yeah.
beautiful, yeah.
And I think it does. It goes for everything. I would say across the board. We say the dresses and the flowers and all that is make it your own. You know,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
don't worry about kind of what people would say or anything. Just make it your own, and like Michal said, have fun with it.
Yeah,
fun,
definitely.
And the new frosted roses are beautiful
Yeah,
at
really
Christmas.
good
They're
for Christmas.
gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah,
It looks
fun,
as though
fun.
snow is falling on them. They're
It's really
fabulous.
important too if
Yeah.
you are coming to see a florist, because sometimes people would walk in and they're all ready to have the chat with the florist, and unfortunately the time is limited when they arrive in that day.
Yeah.
So to give a phone beforehand and book an appointment to have
Yeah.
a chat, so
Yeah.
that the florist has put some time aside to sit down, so when they do come in,
Yeah,
their
exactly.
time is spent
Yeah.
just with them,
Yeah.
that there's no interruptions, no interference, and they can sit down and go through everything properly, and they can really feel kind of looked after.
Well, guys, look, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully, you got plenty of advice and information there. Remember that we're going to be keep an eye on the comments and the whole lot. So if you want to make questions as well, please put them on, and we'll try and get back to you offline. The competition is still going to be open, so if you do, make sure to tag a bride or ask a question like that. We will pick our winners during the week. And again, it's a €100 voucher for any bride who's getting married, a new bride, and a what?
Tag a bride.
I have Mick behind the camera. Looks like a lip read. So, but we'll cut that from the video afterwards. So no, you have to get the earpiece, yes. So what we do ask is people if you can subscribe to our page and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, to make sure that you can see the videos. Mick's giving me a big thumbs up here for remembering that. But yes, there's a lot of episodes. We're up on episode 13 now, so there's a lot of episodes there that you can watch back on. So subscribe, and you'll get the notification as well of what episodes are coming forward. Make sure to watch this video, you can watch from the start again after the show. It'll play again after the video as well, or after we've finished going live.
What's next week, Richard?
Next week we're going to be talking menswear. So we haven't got our guests finalised yet, but we'll hopefully have 3 gents with us to talk to us all about menswear and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to tune in next week. Thanks a million for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Richard McCarthy, and welcome to The Wedding Show. Take 447. Stop. This is why we do it live, because I can't go back. There's no going back.